So welcome to this talk on the topic Design and Innovation, Key for Sustainable Shift. And we will have learnings from design, textile and fashion industry here in Sweden. And we all know that design knowledge has a crucial role to play in the transition into a sustainable society, both in Sweden and globally. And of course, we hope that we can actually bring some knowledge to the world on these processes. And the host for this talk is the Swedish design movement, together with Smart Fashion City Malmo. And with us here, I have Jenny Bergström, Swedish Institute, responsible for Swedish design movement, and Caroline Le Bongoat from Smart Fashion City, and you're also a business developer at Malmo City. So welcome. I will start with you, Jenny, and say, what is the Swedish design movement?
Well, it's a governmental initiative that aims to show that Swedish designers, architects, companies and other key players in the industry are really in the forefront of leading this movement, and we want to make it a global one. And we think, as you said, that design knowledge is really key to the shift that we need to make. And we have no time to waste. So this is kind of a welcome to join the movement. And it's a governmental initiative, and it's a big teamwork of actors from all over Sweden that are in this together. And we want to make it an even bigger collaboration. So it's run by the Swedish Institute, but it includes several business representatives, cities such as City of Malmo and Gothenburg, Stockholm, Umeå. So it's really a big teamwork.
And Caroline, you are representing Malmo City, that is really in the forefront, trying to take a lead in these issues. Smart Fashion City Malmo, what is that?
Smart Fashion City Malmo is a local network for the textile and fashion companies or freelancers or professionals within the city to meet and find new partners, and we try to inspire them with inviting different stakeholders to show what's going on within this. Lots of projects, lots of initiatives, and we try to make them come down to those who actually work with this every day and make crossover innovation arenas and stuff like that. So we see this is important for the city to help these companies and actors to increase the possibilities to make the shift that's necessary in this.
And from an outside perspective, why would just design and fashion be leading or driving forces for these kind of movements? Why is it important for a city to actually engage within the design?
We have an important role to play because we're one of the stakeholders that actually, we're part of this textile industry as well, but also the whole city is part of it with the consumers and everybody, and we need to be a good partner in new projects and initiatives to make new development and to actually make that happen, the shift that we all need for a sustainable future.
That's really interesting to hear, and I think this is a really good initiative. Jenny, back to you. You said to me the other day when we were talking about, I love this quote, sustainability does not sell design, design sells sustainability. Can you develop that?
Well, I think that the word sustainability is a bit overused. Maybe it has lost its meaning in some ways, and I think that we need to walk the talk, all of us. So me representing the governmental perspective or the national one, doing what you do, we need to be very concrete now and tell, like, what do we really mean and what do we really do to make this shift. So I think that talking about sustainability is not enough, and design has the possibility to in itself be the change and the transformation.
I totally agree, because if we just talk about things, we will never actually reach any goals. So I love this, and I love the way that you are actually lifting design as actually one of the most important tool. And that's why we have this great panel with us talking about why is design as such a great and powerful tool to actually make a change. And with us here, I have a great panel. Harald Cavalier from Renewcell. I have Anna Wilén, from CSAV, and I have Saif Bakir from Common Sweden. And I will start with you, Harald. You are representing a Chief Marketing Officer and Head of Investor Relations. Renewcell is an award-winning textile-to-textile recycling company based here in Sweden. And I would say that most of people have heard of you at one time or another, whether you're into the textile industry or not. Please tell me a little bit more about you and who is Renewcell.
Sure, I'm sure there are more people we can keep talking, harping on about us too. Thank you for having us on, having me on. Yeah, we're the first company in the world able to make textile to textile recycling possible at a large scale. So what we do, we have a patented process for turning cotton waste from old clothes or production waste into a dissolving pulp, which is Circulose. That's our branded product that can then be made into new garments again in the regular value chain. And what we're up to right now is building a new upscale plant to satisfy the demand that we're feeling from brands all over the world. And it's especially interesting to be here today because I couldn't agree more that design is key to making this shift happen and making the scaling of our technology possible as well. It's in the design stage where the decision what kind of raw material to put in and how that raw material and how that material then and that product then can be recycled again happens. That's where that's the key part. So excited to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Anna, you are Marketing and Brand Communications at CSAV, which is, for you who don't know this, is the South Scania waste company that recycles and treats waste from households and industries in southern Skåne. And also, I would say, a very important stakeholder in this transition to a more sustainable world. And I love your engagement in these questions around textile and recycling, but also representing Siptex. I don't know if everyone knows about this, but this is a really cool thing.
Yeah, well,
tell us.
Siptex is short for Swedish Innovation Platform for Textile Sorting, and it is a facility that we have at CSAV in Malmo, the world's first, but it's also the result of Swedish innovation and research with plenty of different stakeholders from the entire textile value chain, Renewcell being one of them, big brands and NGOs and recyclers and authorities that went together to see if automatic sorting of textiles, which does not exist until we built this plant, if that could be the missing link to be able to really scale up the recycling of textiles. So we are super proud to have it here in Malmo and that it's up and running, the Siptex facility.
And you should be very proud because this is actually, as you said, the missing link to a certain extent, at least because, I mean, we know that we throw away so much textiles every year. We don't even want to start talking about it because now we have a solution. You are the solution, so don't feel any pressure. But I think this is just what we need to actually make it happen, that we actually can recycle or reuse or whatever we want. But before, we just, so everyone just go and talk to Anna about how to gather and then use this material. Saif Bakir from Common Sweden. I'm so happy that you're here, but you were actually not supposed to be because you were in London just...
In London just recently, yes.
But you have moved back to Malmo. So tell me a little bit about you and your company.
I'm the co-founder and creative director of Common Sweden, a contemporary menswear brand. Originally started here in Malmo back in 2012. Has an international presence, obviously, due to the fact that we've been based in London and showcased our collections in both London Fashion Week and Paris Fashion Week. But now we're back, I guess some good things out of the pandemic, the fact that we can be back here, and we're very excited. There's been so many new developments and things have happened in Malmo, and like Caroline said, it's really in the forefront of the recycling and the industry and the fashion industry and creative arts in general. So it's great to be back. And the fact that we started here 2012 was because we always thought that Malmo was the creative sort of hub of Sweden, and in many ways, not just fashion, but music and other arts. So it feels good to be back here again.
Thank you. We're coming back a little bit about your experiences and your experiences from London, but I'll come back to that. And I would like to address one of the first questions to all of you, and I'm starting with Harald. What would you see with the topic design and innovation key for a sustainable shift? It puts a lot of pressure on you guys because you are, I mean, actually the ones that know how to do this. What are the roles for individual stakeholders and companies in this shift, so to say? So Harald, if I start with you.
Yeah, it's. I'd say, I mean, the fashion value chain is long and complex, and a linear, definitely. So there are a lot of players involved that would have to change if you'd like to change everything at the same time. But let's look at the key parts of the value chain and see where we can have the quickest effect and the largest effect fastest. And in my opinion, it is in the design stage where all the decisions get made. About what material to put in, and it's at the raw material production stage where we're at, and the raw material collection and sorting, of course, also is where the technology needs to be implemented to make that happen. And in between, we can let this value chain do what they do best: is produce beautiful and functional garments and fashion for everyone to use. But let's do it sustainably instead by making the right design choices, making beautiful product that people want to wear for a long time. And let's make it possible to do that using circular materials and beautiful products. So I think in a long chain of millions and millions of people in this value chain, and not the consumer, the user, the end producer actually being the most important one. But it's really the design and the raw material production that matters a lot.
Saif, would you comment on this as well?
Well, I would agree, absolutely. I think obviously the design stage is the initial stage of where things do get developed and decisions are being made. So definitely by us as designers, by taking the choice or making the choice of what material to use and what fiber to use, and also how to use it, is the start of creating, and that goes for everything really, not just in fashion, but in architecture and interior and automobile. Everything that we are using in our daily lives can have that.
Could I just hold on to you guys before I let Anna in this discussion? Just from a designer perspective, what would you see that is possible to learn from the way you are thinking within the fashion industry, if you put it in different contexts, as you said, architect, but it could be, you know, planning of cities, or I don't know, I mean, energy savings, I don't know what it could be. What can we learn? What could other branches and other learn from you guys? If I start with you again.
Well, I guess we can learn a lot from each other. I mean, we find inspiration actually more outside of the scope of fashion for renewable materials. Almost sometimes before it reaches the fashion industry, it's been done in other industries before. And so sometimes I feel like it's happening in other design disciplines before it actually reaches fashion. I'm sure they all got different challenges, you know, recycling other materials within, I don't know, build, like, you know, if it's household materials, or there's always a challenge in the different areas, but there's loads to learn from each other of how we can recycle.
That's, yeah, it's a really good point that you learned before, because, I mean, obviously, as I said before, textiles is one of the industries where we actually are, I mean, lacking behind, and actually, I mean, for example, compared to plastic or whatever, there's a higher recycling level on that.
Yeah.
Harald, what would you say the designers have? What kind of role do you have?
I agree with that. I mean, it's just, fashion is actually lagging, so there's a lot for fashion to learn from other industries in this. But if there's one thing, it's really, you know, the ability for fashion designers and fashion companies to create desire products and really, you know, both well, taking inspiration from outside, but really leading trends. Clothes are something that we wear every day. We make decisions about what to wear and what to put on our bodies and how to communicate ourselves and our identities. We don't build cities every day. We don't, you know, choose a new car or a new house every day. It's really through creating desirable products that people want to wear and want to express and want to have on them. That's the key competence that fashion has, and that you know, help lead change in a big scale, in a big way.
So thank you for this, and I want to bring you in, Anna, and as another part of this ecosystem. What are your responsibilities in actually changing behavior?
Well, as we deal with waste, we kind of see the backside of our consumption lifestyle, and of course, a lot of stuff that ends up as waste too soon is the result of bad design. So of course, design plays a crucial role in this transition, and I would say that designers of clothes they have to, that's like a paradigm shift that needs to be come here. We need to look at stuff that is already produced, and what can we make of this, because we handle huge volumes of clothes, and it's not all broken. It could be used again, but it cannot be sold, and if it cannot be sold, then it is waste. And of course we can make the best use of it by recycling it, but to give it more life before it ends up at us and at Renewcell. Of course we need to make products live longer, materials live longer. So design for a longer lifespan, maybe design for disassembly. So that we can use materials in other constellations, and just a different way of thinking, like a change of mindset, I would say.
And what kind of responsibility do you as an organization have to actually influence the consumer or the producers or the designers to actually think like that?
Well,
because it sounds like so obvious when you talk about it, but it feels like people don't really understand.
No, but CISOV as we are owned by municipalities, so we have this obligation, or this great responsibility to tell all our inhabitants to inspire to make sustainable choices and so on. So spreading knowledge about what choices you can make.
And I will really say that you are doing a great job on that, because I've been listening to you and your colleagues on this, and I would say advise you guys who are looking at this to actually listen, because if you don't understand what is happening, you don't understand why you should change your behavior or buy things that actually have a longer lifetime, right? So if you look at this, it sounds great and you have a really important role, but what would you say are the main challenges? Both, Harald, I start with you. I mean, you want to use recycled material.
Yeah.
What are the main challenges?
There's a lot of challenges, of course, in building a big industry of something new. I mean, we need to employ 100 people in Sundsvall. We need to resolve a bunch of challenges around how do we separate out the contaminants and things like that. So, but that's one thing. That's the technology part. The next part is the really important one, is to quickly get to scale by removing the barriers to adoption. Making a product that's not cheap, but cost effective enough to be widely applied. Make it as of a quality that is substitutable with the virgin resources that we want to replace, and also explain to the value chain first, to our direct customers, to the subsequent customers, and then to the consumer that this is of high quality and a decent price. then in the end, because recycled in the fashion industry has been synonymous with downgrade, lower grade. It's not always the case. I mean, there are people that actually place a higher value on secondhand or reuse or mechanically recycled materials, but the fact is that they've expected to, you know, it's a bit scratchier, it doesn't look as nice, and things like that. So we need to find ways through design, communicating the branding around it, through the products themselves and how they look and how they feel, to make it easy for everyone to adopt better materials. And that's a really important aspect of design in this shift that needs to happen. So, and a big challenge which we need to work.
Interesting. I was doing another talk about sustainability, and I had this quote saying to me that convenience eats sustainability for breakfast. And I think this is a little bit what you're saying, because if you don't get the consumer to understand and feel that this is the
yeah, maybe not even understand, maybe just taking that decision away and just making it easy to choose the best option.
Yeah, I don't think that we can rely on market forces to go this way quick enough, or we need some legislation, some political instruments, and we have a lot of upcoming things happening, like the EU circular strategy for circular textiles, and the upcoming EPR in Sweden, the extended producer responsibility that will affect the whole industry, and also the separate collection in EU. So in order for things to happen quick enough, or at the pace we actually need to walk, we can look forward to some political instruments. I'm not sure what they will be, but it will happen.
And not be afraid of those, because I think sometimes we happen to have like different discussions on, is that bad for us as an industry, or maybe it's actually good for us. So I think that could be an open discussion as well with all stakeholders.
Sorry, I wanted to obviously agree with Harald and as well the fact that it's a change of attitude really that we need to all embrace. I also wanted to go back and agree with you about the fact that we need to, it's not just about recycling, and but also the fact that clothes and fabrics need to have a longer span of life. We need to add more value to clothes again. The fact that clothes has lost their value, and you know, there's obviously loads of reasons for why that is, but we as consumers need to buy less, buy better, think more about what it is we are consuming, what it is. It's not just your outfit for the weekend. That quick decision there and then will have repercussion for generations to come. You know, what you're wearing on Friday night, just because you wanted something new, you need to kind of think about that process. Yep. Where is that leading to? So absolutely, it's not just about, you know, it's great the fact that we can recycle fibers and materials, but we also need to start thinking about actually the value of the things we've got and how much we've got of it. And that's
very true. If I may, I want
Sure.
to echo that completely. I mean, that's it's very important in trying to make this circular economy happen, is that we don't put out a whole bunch of inferior products really, that will just serve to increase the speed at which we run through materials. It's exactly that. We need to become conscious of the value of these products as well. And once again, that's really a design thing to achieve. And make that shift.
Yeah, and as designers, that is part of our responsibility to add this value back into what it is we are creating, if it's fashion or if it's anything else really, to bring that value back to that piece.
And again, what you're saying is something that could be applicable to all types of industries and branches, because if you don't think about how you build, how you construct a city or whatever, produce food, we know that. I mean, everything that is cheap, you should kind of have a warning flag. Could it actually be this cheap? And I think bringing that into the discussion and understanding what actually this means when you choose the cheap one contra the expensive one. I think that's an important
It's important to look at the price tag. It might be cheap, but you actually need to look at the bigger price tag. What's the impact of this item, regardless of what it is, onto the planet and onto the generations to come? Like I said, a quick decision of choosing something new to wear on Friday might have a repercussion for years to come. So I mean, that's really where it's the mindset.
And it puts, I mean, obviously a great pressure on the producer, designers, or whatever. And I know that I heard this person saying that we need to make it easy for whoever is making those decisions and hard for everyone else. Because everyone else has to take that responsibility in actually doing this behind work and actually saying that this needs to take time and costs and whatever you have, because otherwise we won't have a planet, right? So I think this is something that we really need to talk more about and understanding the complexity about it. But if we talk about, I mean, we're always addressing the challenges, and we know that there are challenges enough, right? So we don't have to worry about that. But what are the opportunities? What kind of opportunities do you see? And I would like to start with you, because you have also the experience from London,
right?
And I mean, a little bit more of the global perspective. What do you see? What kind of opportunities?
Well, actually, even though yes, you know, having sort of been based abroad, I feel like Sweden is actually at the forefront of this, which is so interesting. The fact that we're sitting here with these two companies is amazing, and just recycling in general. You know, I think recycling is something that's almost part of our DNA. Has become part of our DNA here in Sweden and Scandinavia, perhaps, you know, down to even to the food waste. You know, like we separate everything, whilst I think other countries have still so much more to learn from the fact that you can literally separate everything in whatever you use. But other possibilities, you know, the fact that we can recycle materials and we can sort of remake them into new fibers and yarns. I mean, those are great, and those can be implemented on again, a variety of things, and not just fashion, but automotives and interiors, etc. So I'm really excited about what you guys are doing, you know, Harald and I just really want to dig in deeper into that and see how can I, as a designer in the fashion industry, tap in on this and, you know, use some of these new initiatives and materials. And
this is all what this is all about, talking to each other and actually moving.
Exactly, because to be fair, I wanted to say about the challenges, information. You know, like where do you find the information? How do you get hold of this material? How can you, as designers, I feel sometimes, especially maybe smaller, medium-sized brands, which are really the next generation of the bigger companies, it's the limit of knowledge, the fact that it takes a while to actually research and find information. So we need more, you know, what Caroline's doing and bring that information out to us.
Totally.
Yeah.
What would you say the biggest opportunities from you?
The biggest opportunity, well, Subtext by itself is kind of enabling a whole sequel of industries to scale up. Because we can deliver this, what we do is we deliver this unique sorted product and we can make sure that we have a steady quality assured supply of this circular material. So the next step, which is Harald and other, there are plenty of techniques developing, so I'm very eager to see what's happening so that we can get sales for in better use for all different kinds of fiber blends.
A bright future, actually.
Yes.
Harald, what would you say?
Yeah, there's one thing that's pretty cool about Sweden is that we have a combination of an amazing world-leading basic industry and knowledge about how to run raw material processes. And we also have world-leading design competencies. We have some of the world's biggest brands in fashion and in furniture and all of the others, and also the leading edge among these, not just the largest, but also the leading edge. There's a and while we've basically shifted out the textile industry from Sweden a long time ago, we have these key components to making the circular economy happen here in this country. So design and basic industry. That is a big, you know, export green jobs creating opportunity that lies ahead for Sweden. And very happy to have CISAV and brands like Common Sweden and everyone working in such close proximity here to be able to bring that out to the world. So awesome opportunities.
I get goosebumps because I think we have a really great future ahead, and we just have to bring it out, right?
We do.
So I would like to thank Anna, Seif, and Harald. Thank you for joining us. I want to conclude this with you guys. I mean, you know that time just flies when you have a good time, right? This was really, really interesting to moderate. What did you bring with you?
Well, I think it's a delight to listen to you, and I mean, we have stated that design is key, but also that collaboration is key. And I'm really grateful that we managed to get you guys together for this talk, because you are so important different parts of the ecosystem. So I think, and that also, as you said, like design is key in so many other industries as well, not only the fashion and textile industry. So, and I think that it's time that that different stakeholders realize that.
Totally.
So, and all designers, thank you. All like everything that you do is important, and we need to be better at telling the story. I think.
Exactly. I think it's important with these kind of initiatives that's running, the Swedish design movement, Smart Fashion City. We're part of this platforms where you actually can make people meet, talk, and share knowledge and reach out with the information, because there's lots of things going on that is very positive, and we need to spread the word and make more people take action.
Great, thank you. And for you guys who've been listening to this, spread the word, and word. Thank you for today.